technology all the time, man. But I think the levels is right. Mic check. Miggity, mic. So now that's Joe Budden. I don't want to take away from that. But all right, man. I think we're ready, man. Hey, yo, what it is and what's good, y'all? Welcome back to 280 Plus, the social media podcast where I take the conversations off the timeline and go beyond the tweets. I'm your host, Lowe's Def, and tonight I'm here with y'all solo, episode 92. And, first and foremost, if you're new to the channel, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, right? Hit the share button, share this with somebody, and then I'm always welcoming comments, man, whether it's smoke, you got smoke with me, whether you got some praise, some critiques, how we can improve the platform, all the above, man. So, man, episode 92, we going solo again. And this past weekend, dope weekend, really dope event that I got to be invited to. We kind of step out. So this was like the first event kind of the year. It was a little bit different than some of our other events just because I was not able to get content at the venue, right? Because, shout out to Ace of Styles and Anya, Ace of Spades, right? Thank you. I definitely appreciate her for getting me out there and just kind of being involved in it. And she definitely had me in the mix, right? She had me in the mix. And the only thing is, just with the sound system and the DJ blaring or whatever, the podcast is great to be outside, but it's not conducive if the volume of like the background volume is a little bit too loud, right? Like it kind of it's not conducive to what we try and do and to conduct interviews. So from the rip, I kind of knew it was probably not going to be a go because I've done that before. I've been at like a party and thinking I'm gonna have my interview set up and we're gonna do some stuff, and then playing it back, trying to talk to people, it's like too loud. It's drowning me out. The event was still dope, man. It was a big event. We had, I think there was like 12 different there might have been like 12 different brands out there. There was like 5 or 6 different performances, and in terms of just the turnout, in terms of the love, in terms of the energy, man, you definitely got to shout out to Ace of Styles and their head designer Anya, because she really transformed that venue that they was at. That's like a newer venue in the area, and really transformed that space into looking like something official. Like it didn't feel like we was, I didn't feel like I was in my hometown. If the energy was definitely different in there, and everybody was looking good. Definitely a good networking opportunity. Just like other live events that I've been a part of, it tends to turn into, a place where we can create opportunities for other interviews and get new guests, and things like that. Just so we don't keep the talent and everything stagnant. We like to get people from different areas and obviously expand the audience, so on and so forth though. So shout out to like I said, everybody that modeled, everybody that performed, all the designers, all the brands that was there. Shout out to y'all, man. Y'all really doing y'all thing. And like I said, I like to have some conversations and set up some interviews with some of these designers that day. So so man, we got the rundown today, man. So what we're gonna do today, we're gonna start off, we're gonna talk a little bit about tell you a little bit about some adult inconveniences. We got a viral video about an incident in a bowling alley. And I know when we make the clips, we definitely gonna incorporate this video. Some of y'all probably know what this video is already about. We're gonna talk about Gucci Mane and Big Scarr and the funeral fiasco, and then we got Phresher and his fiance arguing about a very expensive wedding. We're gonna put a price tag on that and kind of the implications of what she was talking about. And then last but not least, we got a quick recap on a new show on ABC that has to deal with parenting and what kind of styles make the best parenting styles and things like that. So Let's get started. Let's get started. So, yeah, man. Like I don't know about y'all, man, but I'm a real big proponent on um, teaching and preaching to the youth about staying youthful as long as they can, right? Because I think one thing that adults have always told us that, like, hey, you know what I mean, yo, stay young, or you know what I mean, you don't rush growing up, right? And obviously with certain caveats in there, but we just got to really preach to our kids that and the adolescents is that, like, yeah, that part of your life, I know it feels like it's a long time, but that's literally the shortest part of your life. Like, you are literally an adult. Just, if you become an adult at 18, you know what I'm saying, and we talking about, just say you live until you're 80, right? That's 75% of your life is adulthood. You know what I mean? So actually that it would actually be more than that. I mean, because we're only 18, but yeah, like we got to definitely preach to our kids to kind of stay youthful, because adulthood, you know what I mean, they don't teach us this, but adulthood is filled with a lot of inconveniences. Now, we might be familiar with some of these inconveniences because we grew up in environments or households in which, you know what I mean, inconveniences were at an abundance. You know what I mean? I think sometimes when you come from they say more money, more problems, right? But I think too, when you come from certain backgrounds where um, money is an issue, right? Yeah, I mean, where money is an issue in terms of poverty, like, you still got you got a lot of problems too, or little different inconveniences. But no, I just we, like I said, kids, don't rush, man, because sometimes being an adult sucks. So, and like I said, this is not a big problem. This is not a big problem or anything like that. But I'm dealing with an inconvenience right now, like, and it's just burning me out. You know what I'm saying? So, and it has to do with my debit card, right? So, and this saga actually starts in like November. You know what I'm saying? Like the last 2 weeks of November or something like that. Um, and what happened was my debit card had got compromised, and it's funny because my credit union, they was on that shit. You know what I mean? Like, and they had somebody, I guess, somehow some fraudulent charges for some Apple products. You know what I mean? Or from the Apple store happened to get charged to my account, whatever. Like, maybe it was a skimmer or something like that, whatever. And the good fortunate thing is that, I mean, it didn't even post on my account. Like, the credit union just blocked my shit, whatever, right? And they locked it up, so nobody can make no purchases. I remember even the next time I tried to use my card, it was like I was trying to buy like a $3 coffee or something like that, and it declined. And I'm like, I know I got some racks up in there. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all not about to play me and tell me that I ain't got no fucking money. You know what I'm saying? So, I obviously had to call them. They tell me about the Apple. And it's funny. And the reason why that's ironic is because I don't use Apple products. So, like, that's clearly fraudulent. I ain't buying nothing at the Apple store. And I know they don't know that, but like, it just, I guess based on my history though, they can look at it like, that's a little funny, whatever, right? So once I confirmed that wasn't my purchases, they was like, all right, we're gonna issue you a new card. Now, I hate that. I hate getting a new card, especially when I'm on a roll with a card and ain't nothing been happening. I hate getting a new card, because then what happens is, and this is an adult inconvenience right here, it's like you gotta change anything that's tied to that card. You gotta change it, whatever. And if you don't, you're gonna suffer some consequences. So right now, I'm suffering some consequences. Yo, I had the best Spotify playing that you could have, yo. Like, and there's a student version that's similar to this, but I had, I think I was on the student version and I kind of like elevated to the regular version. And what it is was, right, so I got Spotify Premium. It included Hulu and included Showtime, right? And so when my card got compromised, obviously a week or two went by, whatever, and I forgot to update my card. Or matter of fact, I think it might have happened while my card was kind of like compromised. And once I updated the payment, it basically erased my plan, because when you have some like a special plan like that, it has to be continuous. Like, there can't be no cutoffs, whatever. So yeah, so once I updated my card, they basically put me on a regular plan, and I lost my Showtime, I lost my Hulu, whatever. And now, granted, I got people that love me, you know what I mean? So I got the Hulu back, but Showtime is gone. And that's a problem, because I need to figure out how I'm going to be watching some Showtime, because the Shy is back, and we did numbers with the Shy, man, in terms of just having conversations, tagging, just like interacting with that show, interacting with Lena. You know what I mean? Like we want to recap season 6, and it's out. And that was a quick turnaround, whatever. So it's just simple stuff like that. And then so here's the kicker. Then so I had this card for maybe about like 2 weeks, right? So I feel like what happened was, yeah, I had it for about 2 weeks. So it was like right before Christmas, right? And I don't even know if I had it 2 weeks, but what happens is I lose my debit card again. Like I lose it this time, right? Now I locked it on my own, so there was no purchases. Like nobody, maybe even if somebody did have it, they weren't able to use it, whatever. So, but what happened was I waited a week. I waited a week before I decided to report it because I felt like, no, it has to be in this house. It has to be somewhere close. I looked everywhere. I scoured my place. Like I looked everywhere. I could not find it. Like it's gone. It was gone. It was gone. Like I could not find it. So I tried for like a week trying to find it. So I reported my card stolen on December 20th, right? And now, mind you, even when I got that card after it was compromised, they said on the website, it said that it could take up to 3 weeks to get a new card or whatever. So, yeah, I mean, December 20th, yeah, I mean, you can see whatever date it is. I'm telling you, by the time this episode comes out, I still do not have my card, but it's been over 3 weeks, right? And I ended up calling last week when it was like 2 weeks or so, and they was just like, yeah, we made it, but it hasn't shipped. Well, fucking ship my stuff. You know what I'm saying? And so basically, I feel like in the last like probably like 6 or 7 weeks, I probably had a debit card for 2 of them weeks. You know what I mean? And now it's now we going into another month, and the Spotify is due, the Netflix is due again. You know what I mean? Certain things are due, and I don't have a debit card, so I can't pay for those things. You know what I mean? I can't, and there are certain things that you could pay for like straight out the debit, or straight out your checking account. But also too, I use a online credit union basically. Well, it's online for me. Like I've never done any in-person banking because I had this account since I was like 13 years old. My mom started for me when I was 12, right? And I always had anytime I had a job, I had direct deposit. So I've never had to go into a bank to cash a check. Like I never recall doing that, right? So um and that's convenient in certain ways, but when you don't have a in-person branch, and I don't even know like if y'all with actual bank accounts, like in-person banks and credit unions, can you get a replacement in person? Because I might need to consider that, because I might need to open up a second account, and so I can get some service, because this is unacceptable, man. Like, I can deal with being out without it for a week. You know what I mean? It kind of helps me. It kind of builds some discipline. But yeah, now I got some cash purchases I need to make. You know what I mean? I got some transactions I need to handle, and you know what I'm saying? I can't do that. You know what I mean? Um, because yeah, I have no debit card. So, like I said, man, just being an adult, man, you just run into like little ass dumb shit that's just an inconvenience. It's not, my life is not, it's not quite in shambles. You know what I mean? My streaming little platforms I got, you know what I mean, that I'm watching, that's in shambles. But it's just like, yo, why? And like, people adults just don't prepare you for the little things all the time. So, um, yo, audience, because we don't got no adolescents watching this show. We better not. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, just little things, man. Preach to your kids, man, about just sometimes the little things in life, man, and just try to keep them as youthful as we possibly can. All right. So that's that on that little rant. So next topic though. Next topic. So I don't know if y'all probably seen it. Y'all probably seen it, and there's a video that's going around right now. It takes place in a bowling alley. It's a viral video, and basically these two people were on a date apparently, and they got into a heated argument. Right? I mean, all you see there, you see them in each other's face. You see the woman; she seems to be a little bit more upset than the man is, and out of nowhere, she cracks this dude in the head with a bowling ball. Right? And so she cracks him on the left side of his face, whatever, right? He immediately goes to sleep, right? And in the video, you hear somebody like, oh, like, somebody comment, recording it, commentating on it, and they gonna tell her to keep, oh, yo, roll that strike. Like, it felt like they was kind of instigating it, whatever. And lo and behold, this girl rolled the strike. Now, she did have bumpers up, you know what I mean? So I am judging her for that, you know what I mean? A lot of bowling alleys don't let you put the bumpers up if you're an adult, but that's neither here nor there. So then obviously then it's this conversation about like, oh, like, what if the roles were reversed? What if the roles were reversed? And obviously, we know that, I mean, I don't know. What is the recourse for men in those situations? You know what I'm saying? You get hit with a bowling ball, you get knocked out, you get up, you want to, your natural instinct is to do something about it, right? You've been harmed. Well, you can't do nothing if it's a woman, right? You know what I mean? And rightfully so. But at the same time, what is the line? What's the line that we creating? Because, yeah, I mean, I think we all can agree that, I mean, men shouldn't put their hands on women, but like, women should not put their hands on men either. Women should not use weapons against men, just like men should not use weapons against women. Like, we should not be fighting each other. You know what I mean? But again, it's way more frowned upon. It's, you go viral and it's funny and you a meme and you get clowned. You know what I'm saying? If a woman hits a man, but then if a man hits a woman, right? You possibly going to jail. You're a social pariah. You know what I mean? You might lose. You know what I mean? Like, all type of stuff can happen. We seen this with celebrity. And like I said, they're not justified either in what they're doing. But what's the recourse for women? You know what I'm saying? In those situations. So that's part of the conversation. But however, however, I'm a little bit skeptical, right? I got a little bit of skepticism when I see this video, right? Because I'm like, is this fake? Cause when you see certain things like that are so outrageous, it feels like, oh, like, you initially want to just react to what's happening. But then sometimes, like, we fail to realize when we're excited like that, we fail to realize that we could be getting duped, whatever. And so, like, yeah, there's certain parts of the video that just feel like to be capped, right? So all right, after he gets hit, you see the man get up. Now, when he picks his face up, the right side of his face has a big old gash. At least it appears to be a gash, and you see all this blood, right? Now, the reason why I think it's fishy is because he got hit on his left side. Now, if anything, because it might have been he might have been turning his head, but if anything, she hit him in the back of the head, right? She hit him either on the left side or the back of the head. When he gets up, the right side of his face is all bloody. You know what I mean? And that's all you could kind of see, the right side of his face. So, like, I'm wondering, like, now they're saying, I read something that said, like, oh, the gash appears to have come from the fall. And I don't know, unless, I've been to a bowling alley. Bowling alleys are carpeted, you know what I mean? Not saying they don't hurt, unless he hit, his head against like a table or something like that, a chair, or like the bowling apparatus thing, whatever. I don't see how he would get a gash just from falling on his shit like that. You know what I mean? You would think that the gash came from the bowling ball, but it was on the wrong side of his face, right? So I'm fishy about that, right? Another thing that makes me kind of skeptical is the recording of it and the timing of the recording. Now, granted, we don't see this this could have been a longer video, and it could have been chopped down. However, we're gonna base on what we see, right? And we're gonna assume like they started recording maybe real shortly after that. So what would make you, if it wasn't staged, right? So like, yeah, what would make, if it's not staged, what would make you record in that instance? Like, and obviously, like, you're watching people bowl, like, and it seemed like the person that was commentating, it seemed like they was close enough that like possibly these people could hear them. Now maybe that wasn't the case, maybe they were further back, but it seemed like they could have even been in their little bowling party, you know what I'm saying? So what would make you decide to record a couple arguing? What would take it there? You know what I mean? Like unless you knew that something was gonna escalate. Like, and why would you know it was gonna escalate? Well, you might know that you might know it's gonna escalate if it's a staged video. You know what I'm saying? And then when the person in the background is instigating, and they're like, "Yo, yeah, yeah, roll that strike, roll that strike, roll that strike," and it's like, I don't. So if a woman had the audacity and got angry to the point to hit you with a bowling ball, I don't know too many women that's still gonna roll the ball. You know what I mean? Like your date, the guy that you came with, is you just knocked him out, whatever. You know what I mean? For me, I think obviously his night is over. You know what I mean? But I would think that if a woman hits a guy with a bowling ball, you know what I mean, and the guy that she went on a date with, I would assume that her night is over as well. So the fact that she actually rolled it, she got the strike, and then the person was egging it on, and it made it feel like, I don't know, like this, like if it was my friends, like, yo, bro, like, why you recording this? And like, and another thing too, and where it could be like, there's nobody goes to really help him. Like, from what I remember and what I seen, like nobody really goes to help him. He kind of picked himself up off the ground, but like nobody goes to help him. So it was just like, like, I know we can get into a big conversation about that, you know what I mean? Like, oh, yo, what if the roles are reversed? But like, what if this was all just for entertainment in the first place? You know what I'm saying? And maybe even if it is, maybe it is to start that conversation. But I don't know. I'm calling cap right now, right? At the moment, until I hear an update. Now I mean, we ain't hearing about no charges being pressed. We ain't hearing no aftermath. The only thing that we heard was that she's from Brooklyn. And again, is that a stage thing? Because that's a big joke. You know what I mean? Like, Brooklyn women are the most aggressive type women. You know what I mean? You hear those type of jokes. So is it part of that, or I mean, is Shorty like really wilding out here? So that's that on that. Next topic. Let's move on. So another thing that I hear people kind of talking about, which again, this is where it's because we talking about perception. The last thing we talked about was kind of like perceptions of things. Like, is it real? Is it fake? Whatever. So it kind of with this next topic, it's kind of the same thing, right? So Gucci Mane, his artist, Big Scarr, rest in peace to Big Scarr. He was laid to rest very recently, and his siblings are claiming, there's a couple claims out there. So the first claim is that Gucci Mane wants his chains back, right? Well, I don't know. Like, it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird to want your chains back. The devil's advocate would be like, all right, well, it's a 1017 chain, meaning, so that's his record label, and so like, maybe that's something that only artists should be wearing those chains. Like, regular ass people shouldn't be wearing a 1017 chain. You know what I mean? Um, However, you know what I'm saying? Just say if it is a gift, just say it's a gift, right? Like, all right, if it's a gift, if I give you a gift, right? You know what I mean? And you know what I mean, something happens to you and you die, you know what I mean? I can't go to your brothers and sisters or your mom and dad or your spouse and be like, "Yo, I need that gift that I gave your husband or your fiance or your brother. Yo, I need that gift back." You know what I mean? So like, cuz that definitely made people upset, because from the wanting the chains back, it started all this conversation about Gucci Mane's contributions, financial contributions to the funeral services, right? So I would say this: when it comes to the chains, if Gucci wants them back, I think, bro, you gotta chalk that, bro. Like, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, man, I don't know how that works, but that's a tax write off, man. Like, you know what I mean? You do not need those chains. You know what I mean? You shouldn't be gifting them to another. If you're giving them to your artist, you probably should get a new one made for the new artist. I don't want to wear no dead man's chain. If I'm a new artist and I get a 1017 chain, it better be a brand new 1017 chain. I don't want to be wearing the one that a man that died is wearing, right? So you got that. And so basically, Gucci, chalk that up. You know what I mean? If the chains you worried about, you need to chalk that up. You know what I mean? Just let them people have them chains. You know what I'm saying? Let them people have them chains, man. Like, that's not even it's not essential. It's not relevant. Just let it go, right? So, but then what now? These claims are saying that, so basically we got the siblings. They're making claims that Gucci Mane did not contribute to the funeral, right? And he's saying basically the brother came out and basically said, you know what I mean? He said that he was gonna pay for the funeral, and then he ghosted my family the next day, and we ain't hear from him, and he ain't pay for no funeral, and basically saying that he's not thorough, saying that Gucci Mane ain't don't really got money like he says he does, um, all this and that, whatever. Which when we think about that, right, it's like I don't know, man. I think sometimes, man, if and I never been in this situation, but I would assume that when regular people, you know what I mean, come up on money, the people around them start counting people's pockets, and they start assuming things about finances that they really know nothing about. Like really you're not even privy to none of this information, and so you assuming a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? One, you assuming that Gucci is obligated to pay for this funeral. You know what I'm saying? Um, even, you know what I mean, granted he said it, whatever. And then you're just counting people's pockets and calling them broke, whatever. And it's because, you know, at the end of the day you feel obligated that you should have some type of come up. You know what I mean? Your family won, so you should win too, which, you know what I mean, that's a great thing, but at the same time it's like I don't necessarily know how if that's how business works. Well, after he said that they didn't pay for the funeral, Keisha, Gucci Mane's girl, Keisha Kayor, right? She basically posted a receipt, and it was a receipt for $10,000, and it was of basically from a funeral home, and it looked like they paid for some type of expense for the funeral, right? You know what I mean? I don't know, you know, and they was like, oh, this is the grace, you know, the goodness of his heart. You know what I mean? He provided this, right? Well, then the sister comes back, right, with a refuting that claim, and she's like, that all that paid for was the flowers, which, and even though like they did send some flowers that were like 1017 flowers, whatever, like it was like a flower arrangement that was the shape of the record label, you know, 1017. Um, but the sister saying that the $10,000 only paid for the flowers, and it's like one of them things where it's like also now how much does a funeral cost? Yeah, I mean, I get it that he was, you know, maybe a budding star, or maybe, you know what I mean, about to really get on. But at the same time, like it's like, you know, I don't know, do we put a little bit too much emphasis on grieving and the dead, right? You know what I mean? Like, you know, there's a lot of lavish funerals out here, and this is for, I mean, any type of celebrity, any type of famous rapper, but like, you know, sometimes we see it in everyday life too, especially in the black community. Like it be these like, you know, it be these extravagant funerals, you know what I'm saying? When um and a lot of times, man, people, you know, you got families that are doing GoFundMe's because they don't really got the resources for that. And when the real issue is that um we need to be putting away money, you know what I mean, for our family members. So like in an event that something happens to us, whether, you know what I mean, and you know, a lot of people get life insurance policies and things like that, but if you're a rapper, you need to be thinking about, especially because everybody thinks it's the most dangerous job, right? You need to be thinking about your family and kind of putting aside money so that there's no discrepancy. They don't have to worry about, you know, who's getting, you know, who's gonna pay for what if something happens to you, right? So then, so with that being said, right, you know, you got the siblings basically coming at either coming at Gucci or refuting his girl or his wife's claims, right? Well, then the latest that I seen was actually the father came out, right, to clear the air, and the father basically says like he has nothing but love for Gucci, right, and he says that Gucci is not obligated to pay for his son's funeral. You know, he said, yeah, he said I got the $10,000. He made it seem like he got some other type of contribution, and he said, and I covered the rest. You know, and he says he had nothing but love for him, and he says that, you know, he gave his son. He said Gucci Mane is the best thing that ever happened to my son. He said, um, basically that Gucci Mane gave him an amazing opportunity, and that, you know, he didn't even have to give that 10 grand. He didn't even need to do that. You know what I mean? And basically, his point is that all these people that's talking, he's saying there's a lot of things that were said that shouldn't have been said. And he said at the end of the day, if people would have came talking to me, right, then we could have probably avoided some of this, like, social media backlash and hoopla or whatever, you know what I mean? And and it's funny because I seen a comment on Twitter where or Instagram where basically somebody was like, oh, so the people that didn't spend a dime on anything are the ones that are the loudest in this situation, which, what I mean, if the dad actually covered it, you talking about the brother, you talking about the sister, and then even like Keisha, what I mean, even Gucci's woman, right? She's the one that's out there saying stuff, and she ain't paid for nothing. I mean, it was her man. So, but no, she's supposed to do that because that is her man, and she's supposed to defend her man out there in public. But um, it was just the father was actually a very like his perspective was very sobering and very humble, and it made you look at some of these people and some of their families, like, just it makes you look at them in a certain way, because if that's the real truth, right, the person that really probably is responsible for doing everything, when it comes to these type of arrangements, like, why is everybody else chiming in, you know what I mean? So that is that on that, man. What do y'all think, man? Do you think like record labels, are they obligated to pay for their artists' funerals in the event that artist perishes early in life? So we got that, but also, um, just I guess just in general, man, like, um, like how much is too much to even spend on a funeral? Because yeah, like, you got these expense. Like, I think they was kind of putting out how much kind of like approximately it costs, and it seemed like a pretty heavy penny for. And who are we doing that for? Are we doing it to really remember the person, or the big funeral, is that for the people that are mourning? You know what I mean? It's not for, because it's not for the person that's dead. You know what I'm saying? Like, they passed away already. You know what I mean? They can't live that. You know what I mean? The funeral is for everybody else. And sometimes, do we get a little bit too lavish, especially when I don't think that's necessarily the point of it. So, speaking of money, and speaking of ceremonies and people arguing about money and how much people got, calling people broke, right? I know y'all saw this video that's going viral, and it's from Love and Hip Hop. So you got Phresher, and you got his fiance. I think they said her name is Jen. I don't know her full. I don't know her full name. I don't know if she's an entertainer of any sort. But I do remember Phresher from, I mean, I've heard a couple Phresher songs, but I do remember him. I used to watch Love and Hip Hop, and probably one of the later seasons that I watched, he was just getting on to Love and Hip Hop, right? And so I don't know how much money this guy got, you know what I mean? Because I don't really hear his music like that. And just in general with the Love and Hip Hop stars, like, it's just weird. I don't know. I don't really watch the show no more, because it felt like it was like supposed to be like a starting point to kind of branch you out and to kind of give you that push that you need, i.e., like a Cardi B or something like that, which she's probably the biggest success to ever come from Love and Hip Hop. However, you got a lot of these people, a lot of these Love and Hip Hop people, and it makes it look like they're starting an album or putting out a project or something like that. And I don't really, a lot of times I don't even think some of that stuff be real. But like, you got these career long, um, Love and Hip Hop cast members that, like, I think, after you on there for maybe 3 seasons, maybe 4 seasons maximum, I think it's your time to get off. I would say 2 to 3 seasons for real, because most shows don't even go as many seasons as this show is going. But anyway, um, off of that, so the viral video, we see Phresher and his fiance arguing about the cost of their upcoming wedding. All right, so he's talking to her, and he's basically saying that the wedding that she wants is gonna estimate between 250 and 200K. You know what I mean? And he's really not trying to foot the bill for that. But then the fiance equates that line of thinking to being broke, right? So she also equates that to him not wanting a marriage at all. Because once he said that, and she was like, "Oh, so you'll have no intention to get married?" And he was like, "Yeah, I want to get married." He was like, "You know what I mean? Why?" He mentioned the courthouse, right? And she was just like, "I ain't no courthouse bitch, whatever." You know what I mean? And I'm just like, that was kind of like a weird dig. You know what I mean? Like, that's one of them, like, a dig on the haves and have nots because and the thing is some people elope they don't it's not because they can't afford it whatever it's just you know what I mean because that's probably the more important thing to do like you know what I mean the marriage the union is supposed to be the most important thing not the ceremony yeah you can have a big ceremony but like that doesn't predicate a longer like just because your ceremony is bigger that doesn't mean that man loves you more if your ceremony is smaller that don't mean that that man loves you any less whatever so um and I don't even know how like you know what I mean 250K that sounds like a crazy wedding to me you know what I mean and I'm probably about to sound like a noob or a cheap nigga but like I feel like even if I had to spend 20 grand on a wedding like I would have a fucking heart attack like I could not I can't foot the bill and it's funny because the reason she was objecting on elopement, right, and going to the courthouse, and it seemed like she wanted a traditional ceremony. But the ironic thing about traditions is that tradition says that the wife's father is supposed to pay for this ceremony. So like really, you know what I mean, you talking to the wrong man. Like you talking to the wrong man in your life. You should be talking to your father and saying like, "Hey, Dad, I need this, I need this, I need this." If she can't talk to her father, obviously it's for a number of reasons, but one of them possibly being that the dad don't got it like that. You know what I'm saying? Because most people don't have it like that. You know what I mean? And but yeah, it just felt like you know what I mean. The consensus was in a lot of the comments and things like that. The consensus is that she was ungrateful, and yeah, she does come off ungrateful. But then she just kept taking digs at her man. She kept saying stuff like, "How long you plan on being broke?" That's what she said. She said that him talking about the cost of the wedding is broke people behavior, right? And then she just basically like just coming at trying to obviously get a reaction out of him, but coming at his ego, talking about how much money he has, and then he kind of said it. The last thing he said to her was like, "All right, if I'm broke, we gonna see how you are. Like if I, basically if I leave your ass, we gonna see how broke you are. You know what I mean?" So what do y'all think, man? Y'all, yeah, I mean, just on a couple of different levels. You know what I mean? What is she in the wrong for wanting that? You know what I mean? Like, should a woman be entitled to get her dream wedding no matter the cost, or should a dream wedding be within the confines of what you can afford? Also, too, how y'all feel about the tradition of the wife's father, you know what I mean, the wife's family paying for that? Like, are we still even following that tradition anymore? You know what I mean? Because if we're breaking traditions, then if we're breaking certain traditions, we should break all traditions, you know what I'm saying? And kind of be innovative and kind of make it our own thing. But the thing is, the reality is that people pick and choose what kind of traditions that they're gonna follow. But yeah, man, and then just in general, man, like I mean, man, how would you react? You know what I'm saying? Like, cause to me, like, I feel like the way that argument was, there ain't no getting past that. Like we getting on the end of a relationship type of thing because if you don't want to get married because of the cost of this wedding, like I feel like you're worried about you have your priorities in the wrong place. I mean, because he even mentioned something about yo, we if we gonna spend that kind of money, we can invest that. And then she rolled her eyes and she thought she was like whatever, like not trying to really. She's not really receptive to what her man is trying to tell her, and she just seems stubborn. And then he did mention he said she hasn't worked in years, so it's one of those things where it's like I mean, it's cool, man being the breadwinner. Like I know there's a lot of women that want that and that's their ideal and you know what I mean, that sounds good, whatever. But at the same time, it's like you had to bring something to the table. Like what are you bring if you don't work, right? And I'm providing you with everything. I'm taking care of you. What do you provide? Like what cuz it don't seem like you're providing him any peace. Yeah, I mean, so what do you really bring to the table? Cuz don't say it's good pussy. Don't say it. Don't say you got some WAP for this dude, cause what I mean. I'm not saying that WAP is you can get it anywhere, but you can get it anywhere. You know what I mean? And you gotta have your ties, your union based on something stronger than sex and money. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, man. Shoot something in the comments, man. Especially with these clips come out. Shoot something in the comments. What y'all think about Phresher and his fiance, and how scale of 1 to 10, how wrong is she? Because she's wrong. I don't care what y'all say, but she wrong. But how wrong is she? You know what I'm saying? So next topic. So last topic actually, and I wanted to introduce and talk about a new show that's on ABC. It's called The Parent Test, and it's essentially a competition on which parenting style is voted the best. All right. So the premise of this show is that basically they have 12 different families that represent 12 different parenting styles, right? And apparently these are like the best parenting styles in the country. And what they're doing is they're putting their kids through these challenges based on their parenting style, and then I guess America, the audience, we get to vote on which styles are the best. Like we get to vote certain family styles out, whatever. So there's 12 different ones. And first, before I keep going and explaining the show, I gotta say, all these parents are brave souls, man, because I don't think I could personally go on the show to have my parenting scrutinized and critiqued the way that they're doing it, right? Like it's bad enough. It's bad enough that we feel some type of way when close relatives or friends or you know what I mean, even our parents and things like that, siblings, and all that type of stuff. Like we already feel some type of way when people that we know criticize our decisions in terms of parenting. But imagine you got 11 different families that are like looking in on what you're doing and giving their 2 cents, let alone you got the whole country, nationally, you got everybody watching and picking apart your parenting style. Like, you know what I mean? So I commend the audience I commend the contestants and the participants for even getting involved in something like this, because I could not fathom that. I just couldn't, whatever. So so you got these. So I'm gonna name the parenting styles that they identify. Now, the way they do it so far, there's only 2 episodes out right now. So in the first episode, we only see 4 of the styles, right? And what I'm wondering is if they go through the same challenge, if every family goes to the same challenges, or if every 2 episodes or whatever, they're gonna have like new challenges for the different families. And here's the thing, they don't necessarily define each parenting style, but some of them are kind of self-explanatory, but there's some that sound a little bit vague, and there's some that sound like they overlap and they kind of like repeat themselves, right? So here are the parenting styles. You got disciplined, traditional, intensive, natural, new age, child-led, routine, high achievement, strict, helicopter, which I'm surprised that anybody wants to be called a helicopter parent, right? You know what I mean? Like that has a bad connotation, right? Free range, and then negotiation, right? So those are the 12 different parenting styles. So like based on even how they said it, and they don't really define it, it's kind of hard for me to kind of pick what my parenting style would be in that bunch, whatever. But I think some of us, like I said, we can kind of process of elimination. We can say, we know what a strict parent is. We know what disciplined parenting is. We might know what even high achievement parenting or helicopter parents are. But like some of these other ones where it's like negotiation and routine and child led, new age, those seem to be a little bit more vague, right? So on the first 2 episodes, we see these are the parenting styles that we see. We see intensive, and intensive. What it is, at least what we see in those, is it's an Asian family, right? And they have a young daughter, and they are like they fit a lot of stereotypes in terms of like how the Asian community kind of like raises their children, and it's high achieve, like it's like where they're striving for the best. They have their child doing all types of like extra type of work to be smart, and then this little girl is like a genius, like she's low-key a genius, right? She might lack in certain other like social skills and things like that, but like no, like in terms of like her actual intelligence, no, she's a brainiac, you know what I'm saying? So you see how, and they're very like, very regimented, and they don't take no for an answer. Like it's very it feels strict in some ways, but like they call that intensive. You had the natural family. The natural family is these people, like they live in a rural environment, and they believe in like kind of like, your kids are kind of going at their own pace, and they kind of like living off the land. And when I say that is like they farm, and they eat the food that's on their farm, and like the way these kids are learning is kind of through nature, and just kind of being outside, and experiencing things kind of as they go, as they experience it in nature. And then you new age seem to be like the boundaries aren't that clear in terms of like what, kids are kind of allowed to kind of make a lot of the decisions that they want. They don't have to do certain things if they don't want to do them. It felt kind of hippy dippy. They do have some bright moments, I mean, this family, but like, at least what it sounds like, it's like, I don't know about that, I mean, when they first introduced them. And then the last one was routine, and routine, it happened to be it was a gay couple. It just so happened to be that, and there is a lot of diversity in terms of the parents, right? Different races, different sexual orientations, different. There's even some single parents in there and all that, whatever, all different type of stuff. But this routine, they basically kind of set everything on a schedule, and then like everything is the same every day. Like it's very regimented. But they kind of are a little bit loose in terms of like what it looks like in terms of parenting. I mean, and they get kind of criticized a little bit, not because of their proclivities or anything like that, but just because certain things that they go through. So on episode 1, all right. So we're gonna talk about. I'm basically gonna talk about things that happen in these first 2 episodes. Um, and like I said, it's gonna kind of develop. I'm not gonna tell you who gets eliminated or anything like that. But in the first 2 episodes, and it was those 4 families that I mentioned, they get featured in those first 2 episodes. So they had these challenges, and what they're doing is they're looking for certain things in these challenges to see if you pass, or to see basically a way to kind of give you feedback on your parenting style. So in episode 1, they had 2 challenges. The one was a high dive challenge. And the high dive challenge was like basically you had to get your kid to jump off this high dive, I mean, knowing that they were going to be scared, knowing that they're going to be nervous and anxious and have all this apprehension about doing this stunt or this task, right? And so what they were trying to do was it wasn't even a matter of like if you could get your kid to jump. It was more so like how do you talk to your kids in those situations where they're faced with a challenge that they don't really feel comfortable with. So they're looking for that, like how they respond, but also like how, I guess, yeah, they're looking for how the kid responds, but also how you talk to them in those situations, whatever. So and that was pretty interesting to see. You've seen quite a few people, like, they had some good encouragement and things like that, and then some of these kids were really jumping off the high dive. But then I remember with the new age family, the girl was just like, nope, I ain't doing this, and just turned around, and like the dad he didn't really press her, he just kind of let her go. And then like all the other families, they get to give feedback, and they're grinding each other up, you know what I mean? And it's kind of interesting. And like I said, you got to be a brave soul to even participate in this, because I don't know how much I'm going to be willing to hear somebody's advice who's grinding me up, you know what I mean? And then so the second challenge was called the Say Yes Challenge, right? And this was interesting because what they were trying to just see was what. And so this was the challenge. The challenge was the parents had to say yes to whatever their kids asked for. And what it was to show was, because there was no actual like win, there's no accomplishment, but what there was, the challenge was supposed to show us that what do your kids value, right? When they get to kind of call the shots, essentially, like what, and it kind of is supposed to speak to like how you live, and like almost like maybe the routines that you kind of create for your kid. What would they, if they were in charge, what do they value and what do they want? Well, it seemed like the 2 families that were a little bit more like the natural and the new age, who seemed a little bit more like hands off in terms of their kids, those children wanted to spend more time with their parents, and they wanted to have fun with their parents and do stuff with them. You know what I mean? So like, and I think if it was my son, he would choose to, like, he would be like, yo, dad, yeah, all right, I gotta say yes to everything. So I gotta take him somewhere. I know I gotta take him to like a, Round One or Sky Zone or Hershey Park, or you know what I mean? Like, he's gonna want to do something with me and us do something fun out of the house. The two families where they seem to be a little bit more regimented, the intensive and the routine, those kids, the only thing they wanted to do was to get off of the routine. Basically, they wanted to play by themselves. They wanted to play on electronics. They just wanted isolation. Like, they didn't want to be around their parents, like, you know what I mean, and they wanted to do their own thing. So it kind of tells us, you know what I mean, like, maybe it's a sign of like, hey, maybe, you're not spending enough like quality fun time that your kids enjoy. Maybe you're not doing that enough, because when you're not around your kids, they want to do all this other, they want to kind of be away from you. One of the things that the kid said to one of their parents was like, he wanted to slap his dad. And like, it was funny because there's a single black father on there, and he was just like, nah, like one, I'm not agreeing to that, but I can't even imagine my son asking to slap me. You know what I mean? And like, they was trying to dig into that, like, and they didn't know if that was like just an innocent thing, and like the kid didn't really know what the deal was, or if it spoke to something deeper. You know what I'm saying? And then in episode two, the two challenges were, there was a fine dining challenge, and basically you had to get your kid to eat like three things off of like a high end fine dining menu. And typically it's stuff that's like exotic, you know what I mean? Now the one family, the rural family, the family that was like natural and they live in a rural area, man, the exotic stuff was scallops and mussels. And I'm like, bruh, man, I kill some scallops. You know what I mean? Some serious scallops or some mussels, or a seafood bowl, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I would smash that. You know what I mean? And but it kind of just speaks to the demographic of where they live and things like that. But yeah, like me, I would feel like if I had to have my kid eat certain things, I would fail at that, because my son, he just don't, he don't fuck with that. Like, if he don't want something to eat, if he don't want to eat something, it don't matter how much you try to encourage him, he just ain't with it. Like, he don't want to try like new foods and things like that. And then so that was the first challenge in that one. And then the second one, that was the scary one. So the second one was the stranger danger challenge. And basically what they did was, they had the rules was basically, you know, would your kids let somebody in, like somebody that's knocking on the door, would they just let them in them, like let them in the house, even if the person was like, claiming it to be an emergency, whatever, right? So the way it was like a guy, it was a person from the gas company coming to the door and saying like, hey, we need to check on something, because something is wrong and we smell, there's gas, whatever. And I tell you, out of those four that we saw, three of the families and the kids answered the door. And the one family, they didn't want it to be shown. Like, they did not want their video to be shown, and they were kind of embarrassed, whatever. And they kind of felt some type of way. It was like a little bit of an argument, but ironically, the new age family, who, I mean, they kind of have like some looser rules and things like that. They established to their kids that like, you're not allowed to answer the door. Like, I mean, if you need to answer the door, because they're younger kids, so you need to get mommy or daddy. Like, you don't just answer the door for anybody. And they pass with flying colors. Like, them kids, that person rang on the doorbell man times, knocking, and them kids was just right next to the door, like, just like, all right, I guess it's time for us to get mom or dad, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, they was not budging. You know what I mean? And I'm like, yo, it felt like kind of growing up, when you grow up in a black household, and just say, if anytime you ever left alone, like, that's the rules. Don't answer the door for nobody. Don't answer the phone for nobody. And you know what I mean? Maybe like close the blind, like all that type of stuff. Like, close the blinds. Like, don't let nobody know you here. You know what I'm saying? And that's the vibes that I kind of got with that. So, yeah, man, I'm interested, man. I'm really interested to see where this show goes. and kind of what styles kind of prevail. But I'm gonna be tuned in, man, every week. So it comes on ABC on Thursdays. It's a Thursday show on ABC. So it's called The Parent Test. So I would recommend it, man. I would highly recommend anybody kind of giving this a shot. And like I said, would you ever? So I want to know, I guess, in the comment section, based on like I guess the styles that I listed, what do you think? Just based off name, what do you think kind of resonates with you? But then also, would you be willing to kind of put your parenting style to the test and have everybody examine what you got going on? So I know I'm not that I'm pretty public and I'm out here, you know what I mean, whatever. But when it comes to my child, I'm just a little bit more private. And ain't nothing crazy going on over here. But it's just like that's just a sacred thing, you know what I mean. But like I said, it's good entertainment and it's definitely like it's informative, man. This show is really informative because it kind of shows you like, I mean, like you can easily relate and be like, oh, I would probably do this, or I would do that, or I definitely wouldn't do this. You know what I'm saying? So it's a really dope show, and like I said, I can't wait to see how it develops. I hope to give y'all some recaps on some other things that I see from the show, and I'm wondering like how they gonna break it down in terms of what kind of challenges are available, and does everybody do the same thing, so on and so forth. All right, so. But yeah, man, we're gonna wrap this up though. What y'all think, man? What y'all think about this week's solo episode? I appreciate y'all tapping in with me every week. I mean, the people that do, even newcomers, man, even if you're coming in and passing, I know for, there's still, we still gaining the audience and things like that. And, I just, like I said, appreciate the growth. And 2023, man, we trying to turn up, man. We trying to, take it to new heights. Just do new things. Just have new experiences when it comes to this content creation. So, I'm looking forward to what this has to offer. We got some guests coming in the next couple weeks, man, and we doing our thing, man. But yeah, man, y'all can follow the social on the bottom of the screen. Y'all can find me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Snapchat. And YouTube, obviously YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. And this is another episode of 280 Plus Podcast, y'all. I'm out. Peace.